Everyone said building a custom car would be easy or problem-free, and unfortunately, first proper trip and the first proper time it's been tested has revealed some bugs. On that drive just now, I noticed that we had a lot of like ignition breakup problems, which you might be able to hear in the video, which is where you like on load and it sort of sounds almost like anti-lag. It's like, but yeah, I don't know 2/10 about anything, so hopefully Max has got something for us. It's been a couple of weeks since we had the 80 series over on Moreton, and to be quite honest with you, it has been parked up broken in storage ever since. But today is the day we go back to HD and find out exactly what was happening with it and try and fix it, getting it ready for Fink. Yep, you heard me right. Anyway, let's see if it'll start.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm amazed that started as easy as it did after being parked up, but it's nice to have a win. Now, we've got an hour's drive across Brisbane in peak hour traffic. The idle on the 80 is at like 2,400 RPM for some reason. So we're basically just gonna limp it from here to HD Automotive and see if we can figure out and diagnose what's going on. Might be injectors, could be coils, it might be spark plugs, it could just be a loose wire, could be something in the Haltech. We've got no idea, and we're bringing you along for the ride. On Moreton, as you probably saw, it was breaking up under boost and carrying on and misfiring. So, and with Fink right around the corner, only a couple of weeks away, we don't have a lot of time to figure out what's wrong with it, so we'll see what happens. Okay, while we're here in traffic, I thought I'd give you a quick rundown of where we're up to with the 80 in terms of diagnosing everything that's wrong with it. Now the engine, we're about to go work that out, so I'm not going to talk about that, but the diff, as you would have seen when we went to HD, it was basically cactus. When we went to Blue Flame, we recently figured out that it was pretty much kaput, and they have actually worked out what was going on. So their supplier, and they had this happen to another diff, their supplier had been sending out the wrong outer shells or outer casings for their pinion bearings, and they were wrong by almost 2 mil, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're trying to adjust preload and trying to build a diff, that's a lot. So we've figured out that's what's going on. So hopefully once we get to HD, we'll be able to send this off to pull the diff out and send it back to Blue Flame, and they'll be able to rebuild it. Hopefully chuck some new gears and that sort of thing in there, which should be gravy. And then just before we put the car in storage, we dropped all the diff oils and stuff, because obviously there might have been a bit of sand and water in there because we weren't running diff breathers on Moreton. And the rear diff fluid that came out of this was f***ing god awful, as you would have, as you probably would have seen. So, yeah, disgusting, but hopefully today's the day of fixing our problems.
Do you want to place bets now, either of you, as to what you think's wrong? JJ,
Injectors.
you reckon injectable? Max thinks the same.
Fuel filter. Maybe not. Well, it wasn't going lean.
No.
Didn't we check? You look and it was staying the same.
Yeah.
But you're right, the fuel filter has never been looked at since the entire system was built. And you filled up from jerry cans.
Yeah, and I only put some dirt in some of them, so it should be, you'd think it'd be fine. See what happens, see if I can tell. That's what you're testing for, Max, and what the plan is.
Checking stuff that we need to check while it still runs.
Nice, man.
Like vacuum leaks and that kind of stuff, because that can cause a misfire. And we're also just going to check fuel filter, as well as just like all your backline connections, so things like fuel reg to the ECU and all that kind of stuff, because if they have a little split, they'll suck in air and then it'll misfire. Also cause a high idle, which you have a symptom of as well.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Heaps good, eh? And if all of this goes pear-shaped, we have 24 valves of diesel over there ready to go. He's currently f***ing around and finding out about smashing your knuckles, cutting it, and then drenching it in ethanol. He's really stoked on it all. I think we're currently pulling the fuel filter out, which is an inline Raceworks billet fuel filter, which Max mounted really cleverly, actually, in the hardest to get to in-serviceable spot on the car. It's all bad. It was easily accessible until we put nice custom guards in. Stop touching what you can't afford.
Total sense of position, voltage correction.
Max. Wait, read them out.
Stop.
Read out the errors.
It's an hour of reading.
Stop. Give us a list.
Looks like there's some TPS issues as well as drive-by-wire throttle position issues.
Nice, man.
Possibly salt water in the connector. Or something like that. Maybe your lack of maintenance. But if we erase them all, it's all good.
And it currently thinks it's 6% throttle input when it's not, which could explain the high idle.
Nice, man. Maybe related.
Could be. While we're in here, this is a question for the audience. Cassette, CD, and auxiliary, should we keep this early 90s head unit or not?
I mean, they build them different.
Yeah, no, this thing's ready. Hear that Swift? Well, maybe you're looking for that next holiday, a new boat, or even upgrading your four-wheel drive. If you need a helping hand making that dream a reality, hit up the guys at Finance Hunting. They're affordable, they're reliable, and they're fantastic supporters of the channel. Anyway, back to the video. Mark,
I haven't done anything yet.
what have you done?
Stop. All I did was clear.
I'm ordering an FTE right now.
Stop, Sam.
If you're selling an FTE, bent rods preferred. They've all got bent rods anyway, so it doesn't matter. Any Michael Moore, Dare to Explore. If you're selling an FTE, drop a comment. I'd like to buy it. I have a budget of around $400. Thanks. One of the many issues we're trying to fix today is the high idle. And we thought maybe it was because the TPS thought when there was no throttle input, it was still at 6% throttle, but with that recalibrated, it's still idling at 14 to 1600 RPM, so. What is bloody going on?
What is bloody going on, you bloody legends? We're back here today with Sam Young's rig. Bit of a shit heap because he has done no maintenance over the last year.
Stop.
So we're just working through some teething issues. I'm thinking what we're going to have to do is we're going to pull a diff out because the diff rear pinion has collapsed. It's pretty up. It's pretty bad. I'm sure you will see by the footage me shaking the tail shaft around, the pinions just flopping around. So we'll send that away and get rebuilt. While that's away, we will order some new injectors as well, because we're pretty sure these CNG injectors, the 2200s, just didn't like sitting around for a long period of time, as well as just having ethanol through them and lots of cold starts and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to order injectors, and then hopefully that all comes back together. We can put new injectors in it, we can put a new diff on it, and then it can go straight on the dyno, which will allow us to first of all flex tune it, second of all pinpoint any other issues we have with it, and confirm that the injectors were the issue. So that's the plan.
Okay, here's the bloody game plan, folks. The rear diff is too sad to put on the dyno without it all going catastrophically wrong. So, we've ordered new injectors. We're going to pull the rear diff out now, which is very easy in an 80 series. I'm going to drive that down to Sydney. We're going to get Blue Flame to rebuild it now that they know what the issue is and that fault. We're going to bring the diff back up. We're going to put it back in, put the new injectors in, get it on the dyno, and do some more diagnosing, but also some flex tuning, because this thing's got to be running on pump 98 for Fink, and we hope for the best.
Okay, here's where we're up to with the 80 series so far. We've got the diff out. I'm about to chuck that in a box, wrap it really well like a little newborn baby, chuck it in the F-150 and drive that down to Sydney. Blue Flame have got the parts to fix that, and should only take them a day, so that's going to work out well. We've also ordered new injectors, which we're going to be getting, which we think 99% chance that the problem is the injectors. So hopefully in about a week's time, we'll be back up here with the new diff, the new injectors, and we can start fault finding, getting it fixed, but also most excitingly flex tuning this thing so we can run 98 in it. Obviously we're going to be detuning it a bit, but what it'll mean is much greater fuel range and a lot easier to get that fuel as opposed to ethanol. Worth mentioning, the reason those Raceworks 2200cc injectors have caused issues is because they're CNG or compressed natural gas injectors. Bosch Raceworks, no one ever considers warranting them if you run liquid fuels like Pump 98, ethanol, etc. through them because they're designed for gas. And we knew that at the time, and what does happen is there's a little gasket in them, and they're not all stainless steel internals, so if you leave the car parked up, they can dry up, corrode internally, and then give you issues, which is what we think has happened here. The new injectors we've got coming are going to be a full stainless steel internal, which means there's going to be a lot less chance of issues corroding or anything like that. We even spoke to Raceworks and they were like, look, we thought you might have issues. Some people do, some people don't. It's sort of just run-of-the-mill luck. And if you leave cars like this parked up for long times between drives, you do tend to get those issues. So that is basically the end of this sort of little chapter of shenanigans. In about a week or two's time, we're going to be back up here flex tuning and finalising the problem solving on this car. We've got to get this thing ready for Fink. We've got a very cool trip coming up. I think Mac Preston's going to be involved. We've got big dog builds, putting this thing on a tilt tray and driving it out to the centre of Australia for Fink. So really keen on all that. Anyway, like and subscribe, share it around. Appreciate the support. We'll see you soon.